Hi guys, I'm going to run you through a couple of different options for how to denote a commission in your listing contract. So this is if you are working with a seller. There's a section in here for commission, and we're going to run through it. The question is, you're going to get paid commission as the listing agent, but what do we do about buyer agent commission? So that's where there's a couple choices that come into play. And I'm going to run through these choices here on the slide. And then we're going to look at what those actually look like in the listing contract. So option one is maybe I say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I want to make sure that we're being as competitive as possible in the current market. We're going to not denote any specific buyer agent commission in our listing contract. And we're going to ask buyers to write their agent's commission into their offer to purchase. We're not going to be specific, maybe whatever is in their buyer agency agreement. I would expect we're going to run a net proceeds estimate, assuming that someone's going to write in their buyer agent commission, and that's the numbers that I'm going to give you. But maybe someone will say, hey, you know what, I'll pay my buyer agent directly, or maybe they'll ask for a little bit less or a little bit more. And this way we can kind of look at the offer as a whole. We're not dictating a certain amount. I'm going to give you an estimate with an amount in there just to make sure we're planning for that. But we're going to leave it open-ended. So only in this situation, we would only list the listing agent commission. So if I go over to my contract in the commission section, line 30 says seller and the firm agree that the firm's commission shall be blank. And this is where I would only list in my listing agent commission. So in this instance, I'm writing in 3.6% of purchase price. I would not put anything here on lines 22 to 24 for special concessions. And I would not put anything on lines 57 to 62 for compensation to others. So I'm going to leave those other things blank. The only thing in option one that I'll be writing into my offer, into my listing contract, is my listing agent commission, and that's it. Option two is maybe we say, hey, we would like to say, I would like to be able to say to a buyer agent that, yes, we are offering a concession. Again, the buyer is going to write this commission into their offer to purchase, but the seller has agreed to a certain amount that we're going to offer. So this is if we want to be clear that we're offering a certain amount. And, you know, they may write a different amount in there, but this is what the seller is agreeing to already. So option two is we would list a concession that the buyer can use to pay their buyer agent. So let's take a look at the listing contract. How would we write out this option? So in this option, my commission section would look the same. Seller and the firm agree that the firm's commission shall be 3.6% of purchase price. That's my commission as a listing agent. And then maybe for the concessions section up here, the firm and its agents may advertise the following concessions, incentives, or special financing offered by the seller. So up here, if my seller wants to offer a concession to the buyer to be able to use to pay for their buyer agent commission, I would write in 2.4% of purchase price. So that's how I would write it. It's a concession. The buyer's agent and the buyer are still going to be writing that into the offer to purchase, but maybe I say that that's what the seller is intending to offer. And then I still have nothing listed on compensation to others. The third option is that I can say, hey, we're definitely paying a commission. There's a separate form that we use for that. The buyer is not going to write that commission into the offer to purchase. Instead, we'd be using a co-broke compensation agreement that the buyer's agent would sign to accept that commission from the listing firm. So including a commission is option three. So in that instance, we're going to make a couple changes here. So we're not going to list anything in concessions. And my commission section, my compensation to others, maybe here I'll put 2.4% of purchase price is going to go definitely 100% to the buyer's agent's firm. And the thing that's a little bit different about this one is what we're looking at here is the total commissions, not concessions, that the seller is paying. The thing that's a little different with offering a commission is there's a total commission, and then what happens is the firm, so the brokerages, are agreeing to share that. So here what we're going to say is that the total commission is going to be 6%. If I add together 3.6 and 2.4, which are just examples, of course, because commission is always fully negotiable, but that's the example I'm going to use for this. And so we'll take 6% minus 2.4%, and that's going to be the amount that I'll keep. And we're definitely offering 2.4% to the other agent. The thing to know if you are going to be using this, we're going to need the co-broke compensation agreement, which is in here already. Great. So let me show you what that looks like. If you go with option 3, you'll need to fill this out. And remember, of course, that we cannot advertise commissions or concessions in the MLS. So this is a compensation agreement. This is what, if you choose option 3, you would need to, as a listing agent, fill this out and get this to the co-broke agents to fill out, or to sign. So you would fill it out and they would sign it. Most buyers, most sellers, what I am seeing, are going with option 1 or option 2. The commission with the co-broke compensation form adds another level, another step to the listing, writing an offer, figuring out commissions. What most sellers are finding easiest and what most agents are finding easiest is to write a commission or concession into the offer to purchase. So that means option 1 or option 2. And so the question becomes, does the seller want you to specify when you're talking to co-broke agents that they're offering a certain amount, or do they want to see what you'll write into the offer to purchase? So hopefully that helps. This is a confusing change that there's so many options to choose from. I would suggest coming up with the one that you think is going to be the best for your sellers. You're your seller's fiduciary. What's going to be the best option for your seller? And then feel comfortable explaining that and feel comfortable with some of the pros and cons and know the other options, but be ready to go with. Sellers will usually look to you to find out what the best option is. So instead of giving them the options, I want you to think about pros and cons of each and think about what's going to be the best case scenario in this situation. Which one are you going to plan to explain to your seller as the best option for them? All right. Thank you.